Ladies and gentlemen, today we have a few interesting topics to go over. We have some exciting PlayStation news. We have some exciting Xbox news for once. I know, can you believe that? And it really does seem like Nintendo is finally getting ready to reveal the Switch 2. At least it seems that way. So let's go ahead and get right into the video. So in today's video we have some Xbox news, some PlayStation news, and some Nintendo news. And that's exactly how it should be. The world living in harmony, all things equal. And you know we get PlayStation news and Nintendo news quite often. But I'm not exaggerating, for once we have some very exciting Xbox news. And I'm finally looking forward to something in the future of Xbox gaming for once. So before we get started, if you could hit a like and subscribe. It would really mean the world to me. And let's just go and get right into the video. So let's start with some PlayStation news first. I pretty much missed the entire PlayStation 4 generation. I've always been a Nintendo gamer first, and then Xbox would come after that. I don't really think I even identified with like Xbox games in the consoles. I think the number one reason I always just picked Xbox over PlayStation is because I liked how the controller felt better, like it was more comfortable in my hands. But last year I finally went out and bought a used PlayStation 4, and it wasn't a bad time to pick one up because all the games were super freaking cheap. So once I picked it up, I started going through the best PlayStation games that were out there, and a series that I immediately fell in love with was the God of War series. The 2018 version of God of War is a masterpiece. I actually just beat God of War Ragnarok on my PS5 probably about 2 months ago. Very good game. I still think I prefer 2018 over the sequel, but regardless, they are masterpieces. So now that I like the God of War series, one thing that I would like to do is go back and play the older games in the series. And I heard they're amazing and still hold up to this very day. But I'll be honest, if there's an option for a remake or a remaster of those games, well, that's the route I would rather take. And that actually might be the case. Rumor, classic God of War games could be making a comeback. During the PS3 era, Sony would release the older God of War games through a remastered collection, giving players a convenient way to experience Kratos' dark saga of revenge against Ares, Zeus, and the rest of the ancient Greek pantheon. I heard the old games are pretty hardcore, like the way the story goes and like some of the things Kratos went through, so I really am looking forward to be able to play those games however I can one day. However, only 2010 God of War 3 was released on the PS4, meaning that there is no way for gamers who don't own its predecessor to play the older games aside from having a subscription to PS Plus. This might change soon. An alleged insider by the handle of Lunatic Ignis dude, we come up with some of the dumbest names, claimed that multiple God of War remasters are in the works for PS5 on Discord, including the 3 mainline entries, the previously mentioned portable spin-offs, and the 2013 prequel God of War Ascension. These remasters are reportedly being handheld by Sony PC Port developer Nix's and would be announced in March 2025 to coincide with the 20th anniversary of the first game's original release. The crazy thing is, some random person could have just came up and told me that Sony was probably going to do this, and I would believe them. Because Sony is a company that likes to remaster and remake remasters and remakes. At this point, it seems like a joke that Sony is doing internally. I would love to see how many times they could remaster and remake The Last of Us, because it seems like it's happening over and over and over again. So if they could remaster or remake it like 10 times within 5 years, it's probably some kind of world record. That being said, God of War is an amazing series. So if this is happening, that has me very, very excited. So now let's get into some Xbox news, which actually kind of goes back into some PlayStation news. I believe yesterday or the day before, the Halo team came out and said that they are making new Halo games, I believe in Unreal Engine 5. That's got its own challenges that come with that. It's probably going to look good, and if they can get it right, then that's going to be a very fun gaming experience. But it turns out there's actually another reason that they're using the Unreal Engine. Digital Foundry suggests that one of the reasons Halo is being made on the Unreal Engine 5 is to facilitate PS5 porting. And if I just read that same sentence last year, I'd be like, that's impossible. That's truly never going to happen. This year, it seems like anything can happen. Speaking to Eurogamer, Digital Foundry chief Richard Ledbetter said that moving to Unreal Engine 5 makes for easier multi-platform development than porting across the existing Slipspace engine. It stands to reason that an engine designed for deployment across multiple platforms would be easier to work with than existing technology built for the Xbox and PC. So if that is the case, it's kind of crazy that it seems like Xbox and Microsoft are designing games, and one of the sole purpose of the way they're designing these games is because they want them to be ported. Normally, I'm sure a game gets developed for just one console, right? Xbox is making a game for Xbox consoles. Now they're making a game that would be played on Xbox consoles first, but they have to keep in mind that this is going to be ported to other consoles. I have absolutely 0% of knowledge of how game development works, but I am very curious if that would be more work or less work for them. And who knows, maybe even the Switch 2 will be so powerful that Halo, being made in Unreal Engine, will come over to the Nintendo Switch 2 as well as PlayStation consoles. Now let's round off this video with some Nintendo news. There was a brand new Nintendo Switch firmware update. I believe it is 19.0.0. And I'm assuming this, but normally when it's just a straight number like 17, 18, 19, those always feel like the biggest updates. So let's check out what this update is, and then we'll look into it a little bit more. So this is from Nintendo's own website. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to see what is in this firmware update? If you went inside your brain and tried to guess for over 100 hours, you would never be able to come up with the answer of what I'm about to show you. Version 19.0.0. General system stability improvements to enhance the user experience. There are 3 things certain in this life: death, taxes, and Nintendo updates that have to do with general system stability improvements. Yeah, so that happens every single firmware update. So every time there's a Nintendo Switch firmware update, Oatmeal Dome over on Twitter looks into it a little bit more. 19.0.0 is now out. Pretty much every system component was updated. Every system component was updated. This is normal for major updates as the entire OS is rebuilt with a newer SDK version. It'll probably take a bit for those smarter than me to investigate the exact changes. I suspect that major versions like this are tied to the new SDK releases internally. The first number going up isn't meant to indicate that there's big changes for normal people, but rather there might be changes that matter for game devs, i.e. Nintendo is following Firmware. I'm sure that's some dev language stuff that I don't know. But yeah, Nintendo is making changes for developers. The timing seems very suspicious. Like they're going to do firmware updates no matter what, so this was probably scheduled years ago, you know what I mean? So that's not that suspicious, but there's just so many things falling in line right now, and it really seems like everything that can go on in the background to get ready for the next Nintendo console is going on. I wasn't gaming during the Wii U era because I just couldn't afford it at the time, so I'd be very curious how this all transpired. Like, I wonder what updates happened for the Wii U right before the Nintendo Switch was announced. Like, maybe there was a major Wii U firmware update the week of or the month that the Nintendo Switch was announced, and that was to help developers transition into developing games for the Nintendo Switch as opposed to the Wii U. And, you know, there was dual releases right when the Nintendo Switch first came out. I know Breath of the Wild was a dual release for the Switch and the Wii U. I actually don't know if there was other games that released on both consoles. So yeah, I'm very curious how this is all going to play out, but let's just say this is another piece of the Jenga block that we can pull out. Jenga, you know, you stack up all the blocks, you pull piece out by piece out. That's pretty much what every Switch 2 leak or rumor or bit of information is. Pull it out, pull it out, pull it out, pull it out. Eventually, it all falls over, and that will be the Switch 2 reveal. That was actually a horrible way to explain all of this happening, and kind of cringe, so I'm sorry for that. But ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about all this information? Are you a fan of the God of War games? Let me know in the comments below. And do you think it's cool that Halo is being developed with Unreal Engine, and that it's going to go to PlayStation consoles, and then maybe even the Switch 2? Who knows, right? And yeah, maybe the Switch 2 reveal will happen this month. It kind of seems like all signs are pointing towards that. So, as always, let me know what you guys are thinking. If you have made it this far, follow me on Instagram because that would be pretty cool. And you guys know me, I will see you very soon with a new video. Peace out.